We'll call this to order. I do believe we have quorum and we are ready to get started. Let's go ahead and have a modification and approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion for that if there's not any modifications?
So move.
Second.
I'm sorry, I missed the second.
Me.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The approval of the agenda passes. Moving along to the tourism director selection process, and I'll pass that to you, Mayor Isbell.
All right, I sent out an email that had all of these on it. I just got these two, so I will get those scanned and emailed to you. Bunch of applications. There's a few qualified in there, but most of them, in my opinion, are just sending out mass emails. So I want everybody to go through them. I don't know if we can do that today. You know, that's up to you, but this is what we've got.
I did go through them. I had a chance today, and just like we ladies were chatting about before, I kind of made a yes, no, maybe pile. And so, like he said, the no pile is definitely the largest, and this is just my opinion
I
completely.
got about 9 or 10 out of
And so I felt the same way, so maybe it's safe to wait a little bit and see if we can get some more. Barry?
Madam Chairman, I feel obligated to say this. Since I'm the outgoing director, you may or may not want me in here during your discussions. I'm just here to help. So if you want to
I feel it's important to
excuse
have
me,
you. I feel it's
you
important to
won't hurt
have
my
you.
feelings, but I'll stay if you'd like.
I think you should
Yeah,
say.
absolutely,
Yes.
yeah.
If there, is there any discussion, does anybody feel that it should be
No.
important for Barry to step out?
I'm not gonna cause any trouble.
Well, especially right now, I think there will be a point in time where it would be inappropriate to have you, but
Understand.
right now, your input is invaluable.
Speaking of that, do you have any input from looking at the applications?
I did not receive any, and I did not
Oh.
want to receive any.
Okay,
so
perfect.
I'm good.
Okay,
I
For some
will
reason, I'm
say
not receiving
that,
anything
once we
from
actually
this.
start
I've not received
discussing.
any.
Did you get emails if you're on here?
he's not receiving your
Yeah,
email.
so now
Yeah,
you're not, let me check.
Some reason, I don't know, it might be.
I sent it to your county email.
Yeah, I'll double check, but I've even checked Barracuda, you know, the ones on there, I don't see
You're on
anything.
Maybe that's
Is that
what
right?
Rain's talked to IT about or something.
Well,
Yeah, it's definitely,
Sorry, I was stepping on them, didn't even know it.
Each one of, there were about 4, and I think each one had about 10 resumes, something like that.
And now 2 more.
I'll resend it to you.
okay,
Everybody else got it?
I got it.
Yes, sir.
thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't,
How did we put this out there? How did we advertise this? Are they just coming in based on your announcement, or do we have it on
This
Indeed?
is what went out on Indeed.
Indeed, okay.
As well as the Sumner County website.
As well as our
Okay,
website.
that's what I thought.
Mhm.
What were you saying, Jean?
When it comes down to actually discussing the resumes, personal information, I don't think it should be recorded. I don't think that's public information.
That's fair. Okay, we go into an executive session.
Yeah.
Just make a motion, go into executive session, and we'll pass that, and we'll cut everything off, and then we'll come back to the meeting and finish it.
So there must be a motion to go into an executive session. Got it, okay.
With respect for confidentiality of the
Right.
applicant.
Yeah, if that's the route you want to take.
Sounds like that would be the route at some point. I don't know if that's now or later, but
I don't, are we even going to discuss the resumes at this point?
in my opinion, I think we need to wait 2 weeks.
I think, well, out of respect to Don,
Yeah.
Commissioner Smith, he hasn't had an opportunity to look at
I
it.
appreciate it, yeah,
I
I'll take a
haven't
look.
so-
read it, but I haven't had
Yeah,
time to look.
so I don't think it's fair that we start talking about them, and Don sat over there in the corner.
That's okay.
I'm
Sounds good to
old.
me.
I
haven't read them all either, so.
And I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to give it a few more weeks to get a couple more really great applicants. Yeah.
So what we did when we were hiring a executive director for the community child care center is, one, set up maybe 2 or 3 people, 3 or 4 people that want to be on that committee to go through the resumes and pull out who we think is worthy of coming back to full
Gotcha.
committee for a interview. And the other thing is, as the full committee, to make a list of items that we want to check off on each individual. So what is like the single most critical thing that we want from this director, and have that on this one. I'd be more than happy to take, if we wanted to create that list, take that list and then do like an Excel spreadsheet and say, applicant one, this is where she checked off on that, she checked off on that, and you know what I'm saying, so break it
Yeah.
down into those applications.
Yeah, I think something like that where we build a scoring matrix, this person 1 through 5 on these key items, and then we'll have a number at the end
Yeah.
that at least gives us a benchmark. We can say, well, I don't, maybe we need to relook at this person, I don't know. But
And you're saying to
at
do
least
that
have a scoring matrix that.
in order to
reject
cut
it.
down to interview process.
Right.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah.
Do you guys wanna try to come up with that, like a committee?
I think today, yeah, my personal opinion, I don't mean to step on everybody, would be that would be our priority today, is to come up with who's gonna be on that committee and what those goals are.
Yeah.
What those things, those key metrics we're looking for in an applicant. Because we may look at one and say, they have none of these, so we immediately think, no, there's no reason for all 8, 10 of us to be going through and finding out this person has no qualifications.
And I think we're gonna see that in quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then those that meet some of the basic requirements, then we can all just come back
I
together.
think
and
Barry
discuss.
would be helpful in kind of coming up with what some of those things are, because as much as all of us get involved in what you do, we don't know exactly, so I think.
Kelly knows.
Well, and that was one of the things that struck me on all these different resumes. It's like people don't have a clue. Just because you're a good manager doesn't mean that if you don't have any hospitality, special event planning, there's just a
Marketing,
lot that goes into
programming.
this job that people don't
Mhm.
understand.
You guys weren't here in our last meeting, but I was telling about the same thing with the executive director for the child care committee, or center. We literally had people that didn't even have children. They delivered pizzas for Domino's. Am I exaggerating?
That's
Yes, but you know what I'm saying?
Oh, there's that and more in some of these.
Yeah, and we don't have time for that kind of learning curve.
No, we are looking for
You know, it's
professional.
grown to a point now. Many years ago, that might have been the case, but we've got a lot on the plate right now that we need somebody to be able to hit the ground running.
I'm tired.
So what do you think is the single most important thing we should be looking for?
Kelly, do you have any?
Let me think on that for a minute. Go ahead, Kelly.
No, you go ahead.
Kelly has worked for this, for those of you who don't know, what, 15 years? So I
Longer
value
than
her
that.
input a lot. I'm sure you guys do too, but just wanted to put that out there.
Well,
I think multitasking would be huge because
you have to be a jack of all trades,
15
and a master of
balls
none.
in there.
For example, the wind got one of our front porch lights. It chain broke, the electrical wire broke, fell to the ground and crashed all over the place. And it turned out a lot of our other lights in the house. So this person's gonna be like as long as you're in the Comer house, this person's gonna be a building superintendent, sort of, which is not really tourism, but that's part of the job.
Are there any certifications or anything like that we should be aware of? Or hope for, strive for?
Well, I went to STS Marketing College. STS is Southeast Tourism Society.
And Will,
And, well, it's in Macon, Georgia now. It used to be in Dahlonega when I went. That's a certification. It's a TMP, Travel Marketing Professional. I have that certification.
Say that again, travel.
TMP, Travel Marketing Professional. STS is recognized as the leader in tourism, training and all in the Southeast. You know, it'd be great for them to have a degree in tourism or marketing,
And tourism marketing?
or tourism and or marketing. But, I know that there are some who feel the applicant, well, let me say this. I don't want to step on any toes either. It's important for the person to have a knowledge of the area, but to me, it's just as important, if not more, to have tourism knowledge and experience.
State relationships and, yeah.
I mean, when I came in, I sold myself as being from the outside. I didn't have any favorites, didn't know anybody. I pledged that I would come in and do the best job I could for the county for tourism, but I didn't owe anybody any favors. And I was gonna look at it through the eyes of a tourist because I was a visitor myself. But it is important also to have someone who knows what your assets are and,
Yeah.
knows some people. I mean, I knew people, I know people, well, I know y'all now. But, no, I knew people from the state and other counties in tourism. I just didn't have firsthand knowledge of everything here.
Sounds like experience in tourism is a high priority.
Yeah. So if someone came in from Nashville or even a different state, we don't know right now, what things could they do other than like Leadership Sumner? What can they do to learn more about the assets of Sumner County? How would you, if you were bringing somebody in to train to be your assistant, what would you send them through?
Well, we have a unique county in that we have 6 or more cities that are incorporated. Is it 7 now?
7 cities.
Now, most counties don't have that many. There's usually one county seat and maybe another town or two, but we've got so many different things. That's a challenge. Because each community has their own personality. And as far as tourism assets go, I mean, you can do it different ways. I mean, I would just think that this person would want to go around to every community, meet the leaders, and make an assessment of what they feel is what I call a tourism asset. For example, Old Hickory Lake is a tourism asset.
Temple Theater.
The Temple Theater is
Yes,
a
it
new
is.
tourism asset.
We're not
Thank you.
promoting that.
Thank you.
No, we're not.
Heard the
But we're
director's
gonna
gonna
call
be
Billy
kinda
and say,
sketchy.
really?
I know, I thought that was my first thought.
Really?
So you're gonna be responsible for putting Portland on the map,
Well, I hope so.
besides strawberries.
Have
Besides
strawberries.
strawberry
Yeah.
cherry.
I mean, if you want to use that as an example, seriously,
Yeah.
we don't have a convention center in the county, okay? But if you go to Portland now, you've got the Southern Occasions Event Center right next door to the temple. And it's got 2 large rooms. One could be for a meal, one could be for a trade show, and you could have the convention in the theater. So actually, they're in Portland, believe it or not. You've probably got a nice conference or convention space right there that nobody would probably ever notice unless
You
it's
know,
brought up by somebody.
Well, will all that tax money just go straight to Portland?
Well,
Because we got some commissioners that
well.
that
yeah.
will want their part of the
Well,
county
you know
to
how the
reap the
sales tax
reward.
works. The state gets most of it, but then if the money
Put the
is spent in Portland, then the county and Portland would split it.
Yeah,
Split what's left after the state
Yeah,
takes all.
yeah.
But
I'm mostly just
y'all know about
messing
that.
with you, not because I think this is great for Portland.
But
It's the Temple Theater. It's in that old building.
it's
So
in
it's
2 buildings. One building is the original temple, which opened in 1937.
Yeah.
Closed in the 50s. It's been closed for 70 years.
Wow.
But next door is where the green rooms and the banquet room and the
Oh, okay.
concession stand is. That was the old Portland newspaper building.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what the name of
I'll
the
have to
newspaper
go
was
back
back
up
then.
there.
Anyway.
I don't know if it was still a Portland Leader then. I don't know.
But every community has its own
Yeah.
tourism, what I call tourism asset. You know, Hendersonville is known for our ballparks and sports tournaments. Gallatin, as far as tourism goes, I've always known that Gallatin has probably more business travelers that come here for, now for Meta and Beretta and Serve Pro, and I know that like the Hampton Inn, they stay full most of the time with business travelers. So you have to know that. Portland, theater, but like Westmoreland even. Westmoreland's a small town. You think, what is there in Westmoreland? Well, there's a place called Grandpa's Opry that we take tour buses to. It's old time gospel and old time country music, and people love it. It's a little place that you would never know about unless we promoted it, you know.
Mhm.
So you just have to know, you have to learn the personality of the county and learn what I call tourism assets in each area. And like Castalian Springs, Taryn, my former marketing director, and I sat down one day and said, what can we do in Castalian Springs? You know, because y'all had the Colonial Fair there for a while. And we thought, well, what do we have in Castalian Springs? Well, we've got the Irish cottage that was actually built by an Irishman. Irish Festival. So that's how that got started. And, you know, we're expecting the biggest crowd we've ever had this Saturday.
This is our 4th year, right?
It's the 4th time we've had it. It was rained out one year and then we had COVID one year and didn't have it. But this will be the 4th one we've done.
Kelly, is there anything you'd add to, since Barry gave you some time
I'm
to
going to be
think?
quiet, yeah.
Well, I think the budget obviously is a big part of what he does. He develops that, he makes sure that we adhere to it, that, also we do a lot of publications, so I think it's really important that somebody either hire somebody who can write, or, I mean, he can write something in 20 minutes that would take me an hour and a half.
You have to do press releases
Press
and
releases.
media alerts and now social media posts.
Our travel guide.
Our travel guide has to be put together. It's 48 pages this year. It's the biggest it's ever been. One of my philosophies is, you know, you have to know a little bit about photography and videography, and your photos have to be good. They can't just be mediocre.
Plus, I think you have to know, you have to have an eye maybe for graphic design, and you have to know something about printing.
Yeah.
The person who does our travel guide, there's only one of those in the state, is that correct?
I'm not sure what you mean.
I thought she had to have a certain kind of press to be the travel guide.
Oh, the printing.
Right.
Well, that's changed a little bit, but, yeah, there's only a few printers in the area that are capable of printing a guide that's 48 pages. And we print 35,000 of them. It takes a large sheet-fed press in most cases to, so you need to know a little bit about printing. Of course, I'm a music and entertainment guy anyway. I am a horrible handyman. I can't repair your roof or your trees, but I'm a great entertainer.
So, I mean, I think event planning, somebody that has that.
Event planning.
Hospitality and event
And
planning.
negotiating skills, he'll have a sponsor who'll want $30,000, and by the end of this conversation, they're getting 5, but they're still coming to town. So that's really important.
Yeah, and that's right, that's true.
To know how to treat their employees very well and appreciate them,
I
that's
hear
the
that.
number one, I think.
Yeah.
And give them all raises.
I was waiting for
Someone
you
that
to
takes a
say
pay
that.
cut so that my employee can have a raise.
Exactly.
I think those are all really great starter points. I think what we need to do is talk about that committee a little bit more.
Yes. Before you do, and I have one question I'd like to ask, is there a level of degree at
Do you wanna
which-
come in? Yeah, it's open to the public.
Come on in.
Absolutely.
Glad to have you. Have a seat wherever you like.
Is there a level of degree at which we say?
Right, or maybe is there degree versus
or
experience?
Yes.
I thought we had talked about 10 to 15 years experience last month.
Do we have anybody in the state that has 10 to 15 years?
We do.
Okay.
I
had
just
to-
couldn't
I don't
remember.
know
No, I
yet.
hadn't looked at them either. I was in the car getting lost in Sumner County.
I do too.
Huh?
That's why I asked that. Do we have anybody in there?
What did you say, Mayor?
I think in the end, y'all settled on 10. We don't have the minutes.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I would,
Yeah, 10.
I think
Would you-
15 would be pushing.
Are you
it.
saying 10 or a degree in tourism? Or are you saying both? Or what are you saying?
I think a degree in tourism plus some
Gotcha, I agree. Yeah.
versus maybe not a degree in tourism, but
Yes,
10,
I
something
think
like
that's,
that.
I like
Well, I would
that.
say tourism related, like my degree's in broadcast communications.
so degree in something plus a little bit of experience or.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because many
I'd say
people
there's
tend
two
to
that
veer away
have-
from their degree with their career path. That's not
I have a
unusual,
finance degree and I don't do anything with money, so.
except
Yeah,
here.
you help us here.
Except here.
But speaking of that, and Kelly is our QuickBooks guru, but you have to have a little bit of financial,
Acumen at least.
because you're gonna be dealing with budgets and payroll and taxes and, like payroll taxes and, journal entries and, you know, accounting things.
County financial experience would be even better. but I think.
And I told them when they hired me that I was not an accountant, I was not a financial expert, but I have been responsible. I had an $8 million budget at the state when I worked there. So I've been responsible for very large budgets, and
So there needs to be a working knowledge of that, not, I don't know that an accountant necessarily, but
A
Working knowledge.
creative, like, see, he's saying he's creative, he's an entertainer, he can print, he can create. but
that's
he
not
can't build a
usually an
house.
accountant.
I'm
Well,
an
that's what I was
accountant,
gonna
I'm
say, yeah.
financial,
That's
and
what
I
I'm
can
saying,
build
you have to be a
house, but I
jack of
have
all
no
trades.
creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those two personalities aren't usually blended.
No.
You're
Not well.
unique, Barry.
but in the end, tourism is a people business. I mean, I don't mind telling you that we have recruited sports tournaments and tour buses because they liked us. I don't know how else to say it. Or I bought them a barbecue sandwich. I was nice to them.
It's a relationship based.
It's relationship business. In
I
the end,
definitely
that's what it is.
See that it should be someone that can take the initiative, like you're saying, they've got to get out and create these relationships. I mean, you built some, but that's you. And they've got to keep that going. They can't just come in and just sit in the chair and think it's all going to come to them. They've got to have the initiative, so they have to be a bit of an extrovert to get out there and
Yes.
work it.
I know you haven't looked at any of the applicants, but is there anything you wanted to add about
No,
kind of this
it's-
list we're building?
I think it's a great thing, great start to look for, especially with the budget. It's, someone that does have knowledge of numbers and how to make numbers work and negotiate.
You're gonna have that done before you leave?
I've already turned it in. I turned it in on February 28th, due March 1st.
Thank you.
Usually, and I don't know how it's gonna work this year, usually the budget hearing's not until like April or May, so I'll probably be gone by the time the budget hearing, Madam Treasurer, so I guess it'll fall on you.
I best be in town that week.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Anything further on kind of this list? So the next thing Jean mentioned, and I think we all agreed, was creating maybe some sort of committee to pull through the applications and then run it through some kind of spreadsheet. Does anybody want to form a committee for that?
How many people do you want on it? Subset of
I'd be
three?
happy to serve on it.
I'd be happy to serve. I've already kind of looked through some of them, and so I can add to the ones that we get from here on out. I think 3 or 4, and then that's kind of half, and that means,
That's basically just to weed out
yeah.
The
and
screening
then
process.
bring those at.
That's what I
They'll
was,
hit the matrix. I think this matrix is what we use when, the first step is the weed out the people that we know won't qualify. But the second step is the interview process, where we really get into the score. And I think that would be done with the full committee.
I agree.
So,
So that first step, the weed out, you think that should be 3 or 4 people?
yeah, there's no use in having everybody.
And then maybe at that March 21st meeting, those 3 or 4 people present the ones that have not been weeded out to then set up an interview process.
Now, you got,
Does everybody kind of agree with that,
you need to make a decision when you want to cut off
the
the
application?
You're gonna
applications.
keep getting stacks like this.
Where's the matrix in this?
No, we're making it as we speak.
No, but are we gonna have the
Oh, I see what you're
matrix
saying.
before we start the weed out?
I
I
like
think the matrix should somewhat be used to weed out.
Agreed.
Some are
Oh,
straight
okay.
up obvious.
Right, that's what I
Right.
was thinking. It'll be good to help with.
And somewhat use this
Weeding.
matrix to weed out and go ahead and kind of classify what they have based on this.
Did I hear you volunteer to create something like that, Jeannie?
You just need to take each one of these ideas and
Agreed.
formalize it into a scoring matrix, 1 through 5. We put it on a spreadsheet.
And if I may add, it goes without saying, this position has to be able to work anytime, days, nights, weekends, whatever it takes.
That's
That's
true.
a-
Flexibility, that's hugely important, yeah.
The Eclipse, I actually work 48 hours without sleeping.
I'll leave you very.
Yeah, because if somebody comes in and says, and so many, of this younger, like my kids' generation.
Set their own
I work
schedules.
8 to 4.
Mhm.
I take an hour lunch, and Monday through Thursday, and I'm off on Friday night. And you want $100,000 a year, right?
100,
Okay, let's do this.
And you have to be able to prioritize, just Mayor, I mean, y'all all know this, Pelham County Commission. You're gonna have multiple meetings and there may be some that you can't attend all of them, like,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to be able to decide what meeting is gonna be best for me to attend for tourism, you know? Cause there are gonna be some conflicts and things, where there's meetings going on at the same time in different cities or whatever, and you gotta try to figure out, prioritize, you know?
Something else I'd like to suggest on the weeding out process is that, like, again, 5 out of 10 of these are right off the bat gonna be a no. Just put them in the no stack, go ahead and send them a letter that says, thank you for applying, we're gonna move in a different direction this time, we'll keep your resume on file for further consideration, future consideration. But those that kind of hit a few big marks on the matrix, I personally think that somebody on the committee should just reach out to them and have 2 or 3 designated questions that we ask every person. So if we have 5 people that we're even considering bringing back to the full committee, we've already reached out to them, gotten them on the phone, and every one of them have been asked the same 2 or 3 questions. Because then we have something to kind of,
Depth.
yes, assess, and then we bring those people back to full committee and decide on who's gonna be interviewed. But before we go into interviewing, I think we should have already reached out, to make sure they're real serious.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, if they answer 2 or 3 basic questions, we ask every single person
Yeah.
that we contact.
Do we want that via phone or do we want that via email? And I was just on a committee that we were doing this and we did just that with the final 10. And we created a form that we emailed to them and asked them this question, and got their answers to weed it down to even fewer.
Whatever you guys think is best is what's there's no wrong answer there. This is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
We personally made the phone calls because I like to talk to people. I can really pick up on the negotiating part, right? I can really pick up on inferences and is somebody being real? Are they being sincere? Or are they just, you know what I'm saying? But there is no wrong answer. So however y'all prefer to do that is the way we should do it.
I recommend the phone call, the actual talking to the person on the phone, and then and cold call. Those questions need to be cold calls, because you can catch it a lot faster.
That's right.
Than if they have a day to think about it, or here's the email list, and
Right.
then
Sit down with
I'll
brother
call
who's
you in a
really smart.
week, so then they can come back and look at our meetings and, or.
Right.
Well, that's true with this one, because this one's
Well, and
open, yeah.
obviously, this is such a people-driven and a communication-based position that I think probably calling in this one might be better.
I like the idea of calling, just make good notes.
When they found me, they did like you said, they narrowed it down to 10 people just right off the bat, and then they called a phone interview with the 10 people. And then from there, they narrowed it down to 4, and then they
Then you have
interviewed
the
the 4 in person.
I do think that, I think that's important, and I think we have to make sure we, in order to really qualify at the end, that we've all asked the same exact question.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, the questions will come straight from the matrix. That way everybody's asked the same question and you're scoring them based on their answer.
So even though we have some general guidelines here for that matrix, which of these do you think should be?
Wait, there's a little conversation over here. No, we want to hear what you're saying.
I just don't agree with the question coming from the matrix.
I feel like that kind of the matrix is just a preliminary. Those are hitting some high spots that are very important. But I think maybe the questions that might come after that might need to be a little bit more specific in whatever areas maybe you decide that are the absolute most important. Kind of rephrase a little bit and have. That's just an idea.
Yeah, well, and what this list was basically the brainstorming. We
Okay.
take from this list and create the questions.
Fair.
For the scoring matrix, and then bring you know, whoever develops that, bring it back to committee and we fine tune that as a committee before we start using it.
Well, it may
But,
be a question such as, is there anything that would prevent you from working nights or weekends? Is there anything that would prevent you from traveling to conferences?
Sure.
Or from moving here.
I was
You
gonna
know,
say,
'cause
they
it's
need
not
to,
like-
move- they need to live here, right?
Yeah, they live, but they
Well, I was
don't.
gonna bring that up. Okay, let me tell you what
That's a
happened to
question.
me.
I mean, I don't know.
When I was
Right.
interviewing, actually, I had 2 interviews in person. One was with the Center for Nonprofit Management, and then one was the committee, like y'all are gonna form. The guy with nonprofit, he said, "Do you have any questions?" And I said, of course, I lived in Nashville. I was about 30 miles away. I wasn't pretty far. I said, "Do you have to live here?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Okay."
Who was the guy, the Center for Nonprofit or this board?
Center for Nonprofit.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, I got the job. I was still working for the state, but it had been announced that I had been hired and I was gonna start the next month or whatever. So somebody called me, a friend of mine up here called and said, "Hey, you're in the paper up here." So at my lunch hour, I went from the Tennessee Tower and I drove to Hendersonville over here where that like Trail West is or whatever. Back then, there were
Oh, yeah.
newspaper stands.
Yeah, yeah.
So I bought me a
Dodgers.
newspaper and there it is on the front page, new tourism director hired, and it said, "But new tourism director does not live in Sumner County."
Oh, they called you out.
Oopsie.
So I
Not
thought,
Welcome to Sumner County.
yeah, well, that's right. But,
Calling all real estate agents.
and I remember, I came and spoke to the Rotary Club before I actually started at the Gallant Rotary Club, and after it was over, about 5 men, older men, came up to me and said, "You're not from here, are you?"
Oh,
I bet
snap.
Mr.
I
Garrett.
said, "No, sir, but I just live just right across, you know." But I ended up moving here. I mean, I was gonna move here the whole time anyway, because I knew I needed to be here. But that is something y'all need to decide.
They
So that
need
if
to
that
post it
question
here.
comes
That
up, we
question
need
will
to
come
have
up.
a solid answer on it,
Yeah.
which I think the answer is yes,
I
you need
think-
to live and serve. No, you don't.
I don't
Okay.
agree at all. I told that, with the county law director ad hoc, because so many people thought that was important, but I don't think it's important, because I think it's important that you do your job.
Yeah,
And where you live and how you function separately is not my business.
As long as they're close, they can't live in,
Well, they can't
Kentucky,
live in
Knoxville.
Alabama. I mean, I know what you're saying, but if they're, because
Okay.
we had interviewed some people from Brentwood.
oh, I see what you're saying.
So, yeah, so, and I'm like, yeah, one of them, I was like, if you driven to the county, like, and so when I called him back, he was like, yeah, I did that, I did it. And I was like, when'd you do it? On a Saturday. I said, no, sir.
Honey, yeah.
you wouldn't
I don't know, I think if
So-
you live here, it's an advantage. In my opinion, I'm not, yeah, if you live here.
I don't think that many
that
people
is
are
a-
gonna care anymore,
That bar is
though.
higher. in
I
my
agree with
opinion,
you. I don't
because
think that many people
you're
So
in
many
the
people
community.
aren't from here. I'm not from here. Nobody asked me when I ran for office if I was from here. Not one person asked me where I went to church or if I was from Hendersonville.
but you live here, don't you?
I do for 25 years, but
Yeah.
I'm not from here.
You
And
don't
a
have to
lot
be
of
from
people say,
here.
but they think being from here means all your life. Like, you're from here.
I'm from here.
But I'm not from
It
here.
doesn't
I'm
get any
from
more from here
Goodlettsville.
than me.
Same.
See?
Yeah.
I'm
I
from
mean,
Goodlettsville.
but going to what Angela said a while ago, I've always been taught when you're interviewing people, you're not supposed to say, "Where do you live?" anymore.
Mm-mm.
But you
No,
can
just-
say, "Is there anything that prevents you from coming to work on time and going to all the
Right.
Which
meetings
would be
and
driving from
events?"
Brentwood on Saturday.
You know, anything that
Right.
prevents
To
you
see how,
from
what it was
doing
gonna
that.
be
I mean,
like.
is there
Yes.
anything that if we put your face and name on a billboard that would cause concern? I mean, there's certain ways you have to ask the questions.
But you can ask, like, the
So,
resume
I
says
think
the
the-
city they live in. Can we ask, how long have you lived, say, in Gallatin or wherever they're from?
I asked those people anything I wanted to ask them, because I'm not, because we're independent from HR. I mean, I'm just saying, we are just citizens on a board. I don't know. Law didn't agree with me on that.
I was gonna
But I
say.
did it anyway.
But I know when I used to work for Metro Government years ago, I had to live in Davidson County. All the policemen had to live in Davidson
Right.
County, all the firemen had to live. That's changed now.
Right.
Because we're in a metro area and it's just hard, you know,
I think we came
to make every
an
single
agreement
person live in a certain place.
that the answer is you don't have to live here, but we can ask questions in a way that we
Would you
understand.
consider moving here?
Right, would you consider, do you understand the commute? That's what I said, do you
think that
understand
for
the
relationship
commute?
building, they
What
should.
I saw in these applications, most of the ones were either local or very far away, like states.
And said that they would move.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the resume, they said that they would,
And
they'd
when-
have to.
And I didn't wanna bring up a hot potato, but that's something y'all need to be aware.
Yeah.
to
No,
know
yeah,
about.
that's a good thing to bring
Absolutely.
up.
So Mayor, I want to make sure that I'm on the same page with you. I'm hearing you say, I believe, that we're just going to wait a couple weeks, weed out a few, and then come back and build the matrix versus if we have 3 or 4 we think are worthy of our time, going ahead and making that call and asking those 3 questions.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the 3 questions, 2 to 3 questions would be.
I also think we need to make sure we set a date to take this job application down.
If
You know.
our next meeting's March
It's
21st.
It was my understanding that the matrix was gonna be used as a screening.
Yeah.
To get from this 40-something down to
Yep.
10.
Well, yeah,
And then we were gonna call out of that 10
Mm-hmm.
call with the 3 questions. That was what I thought.
Okay, so you want, well, I don't think you need a matrix really to call out most of these people.
I
Really
think-
don't.
I kind of already
I
have.
think it's pretty
Yeah.
obvious,
Yeah.
or at least it was in the ones I scanned.
These are things that you get 5s in and you're our guy, right? We would love to have them, touch base on some of them, get 5 on one-on-one, something like that, to kind of be able to judge at the very end. But I think the committee should be able to look at those resumes and realize that the guy who flips pizza at Domino's, although I appreciate what he does for a
Absolutely.
living, is not going to be the right fit
Right.
for his job.
And some
right?
people will eliminate themselves in some respect. I mean, after you talk to them a little bit and they find out, oh, I gotta be on call all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'd love to see us come up with the 3 questions. I think that's the single most important thing right now. And then if there's anybody, I think between now and the next meeting,
I do
we
too.
should have been able to,
As long as we set that date, because we don't want to, like if we set the date of March 20th, that's kind of too late to bring everybody by March 21st.
well, I think from this, and again, I'm putting it out there and y'all may totally disagree with me. I think from this point forward, the people who take the role on the committee will be the ones getting the resumes at that point. Everybody else can get them if they want to. There's nothing, but those people will be the ones that will start immediately calling out those that don't. There's just no
Yeah.
way. And if we get to 10 before March 20th, then we get to 10. I mean, if by March 20th we have 15 and we've got to decide who's going to be, we have 15. At that point, we start asking those 3 questions and decide who we think should be brought to committee for final consideration.
Thoughts?
It sounds okay to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then
I
maybe
mean,
we
think
should.
that's a great
I'll be
place to
honest
start.
with you, I'd still like to see the resumes if they're emailing them, but
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just for curiosity's
Well,
sake.
isn't the HR director getting them and she emails them out, so,
No, she gets them and gives them to me.
and then you email them
And I'll
out?
email them out. And what I do, you got all of these except for the 2 that I got today,
Yes, sir.
and I just start emailing them out as I get them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds
sure.
great. I
I
just
think
want to
that's
see
great.
them. Who
Yeah,
knows, we
so-
might be able to use them for something else.
Exactly.
Well, and I had thought about that, if we have other positions that
Sure,
are
yeah.
available, we can go back to that stack.
I like
If we
that.
have qualified people.
Are any of them wanting to be sheriffs or work at the correction center? Like, that's what I'm.
We got, what, 48
Yeah.
openings now?
There are some that are in that stack that might be well with that, actually.
I'm like going to
Oh,
use
my.
these to,
48 correctional officers.
multitask. Is that
Let's talk
okay
about the
with
3
you?
questions.
Yep, thank you. I think although we can't say where do you live, I think that it's very important. Is there anything that would prevent you from, what's the word?
Working nights and weekends.
Holidays. maybe.
Flexibility.
Flexible hours, because it might be a very early morning. It's gonna
There
be
are-
pretty
there are
early this
mornings
Saturday.
And there are late nights.
Is there anything that would prevent
And there
you
are holidays,
from
yep.
attending some of these events that will be on holidays, weekends, late nights,
Mhm.
you know, I personally think that's important.
It really are you willing to travel is probably a
Yeah.
different question, because you've got a lot of
Yeah, I
conferences
think so
and
too.
meetings and state meetings and things you have to go to if you're going to do a good job.
That's
If you're
built
gonna,
into your budget though, right? Travel cost reimbursement.
I'm sorry, say that
That's
again?
built into your budget.
Yes,
travel
ma'am, I
costs and
have,
reimbursements.
I have
yeah.
like a professional development section that
Mhm.
has money for our employees to go to training and conferences. And then we have, under our sales and marketing, we have sales shows that you go to and things of that sort, travel shows.
Okay, so I'm ready. Is there anything that would prevent you from attending events out of town, late at night, holidays, weekends, things of that nature? I would love to see, maybe the very last question be, tell me why you think you're the right person for this job.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And may not be right on the 3 questions, but I want that question asked at some point in time, because they'll start telling you all kinds of stuff. Well, I got out of jail last week, and Bobby's brother, Sam, you're like, whoa, thank you, I'm so appreciative of that story. Next.
Are you willing to travel? That was one of the ones. So maybe just looking for one more.
Are you willing to work odd hours?
Odd
weekends
hours.
and all that?
I was kind of compiling that all in.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
she kinda had that
Is there
one.
I
anything
think
that
so.
prevents you
And then
from
the
attending events
travel,
out of town,
and
late at
then-
night, holidays, weekends?
And then to tell me why. So then that's 2 right now, right?
If a light fell on the porch, could you fix it?
Mhm. If you were a pencil and you put yourself in a blender, how would you get out? If you could be a brick in any wall, what brick would you be and why?
This is a true story. If you find a deer in the window well at the Comer house that has been there for weeks,
Oh,
how do you get it out? A full-grown deer.
Can you call your husband to get dead
Was
vultures
it
out of the
dead?
yard?
She calls
Was
her-
it
I
dead?
hope so.
We think maybe a coyote was chasing it or something and it had no choice but to go into that hole and it couldn't get out. We
Oh,
didn't even
my
know it was
goodness.
there.
Until you started smelling.
That's what I was gonna
Wow.
say.
But, I mean, we've had to call, we had some buzzards that actually fell right next to my car and died.
Oh, no.
And, no, 2. And we
Like I
thought,
said,
is this haunted or what's going
What
on?
kind of
Well,
outfit?
Buzzards
they got up on a live electrical wire right above my car and it electrocuted them and killed them instantly and they fell.
Oh,
We had
wow.
to call Kelly's husband to come and get them.
I mean, there are all
I hate
kinds
to bring
of,
those things up, but that's part of the job.
there are all kinds of questions
Open
you
if
could
they call
ask.
you.
Like, how do you feel about cleaning? Because some people are gonna tell you, that's not my job, I'm not doing that. Well, how do you
mean-
feel about
about-
managing people?
None of us
Because
who
they may
were
not think
there,
about that.
none of us who were there say that we just gotta sit behind the desk. We are up, I mean, and that's what I love about my job. Every day's different. I'm not gonna sitting at a desk all day. I may have meetings, I may have to go to the basement and get things for the Irish Festival Saturday.
are you scared of the dark? Do old houses bother you? How do you feel
Are you
about
afraid of ghosts?
historical? Yes.
Would something around managing money or budgeting or working within a budget, I don't know if that would be something that would be important.
It's definitely important, I think.
Very important.
But I don't know how you would phrase a question. And I mean, everybody's gonna answer that, yeah, of course I can.
How comfortable are you? How far can you make it?
But I mean, could you come up with something that would be?
We use QuickBooks. Are you familiar with QuickBooks? Do you have any experience?
If they give
Or
you that
what
deer
about
that
if
light
you
look
put
at
in
the
one
question?
Questions, or do you want
question
that in the interview?
about the QuickBook, never mind. Never mind, that's a rabbit hole.
And I don't mind telling you, I remember my answer, because I had never had any dealings with QuickBooks before. When they said, you have any experience with QuickBooks? I said, no, but I managed an $8 million budget, and we use the state budgeting system.
What are the other
and
programs
I'd
that
be
you,
willing
don't
to
you guys
learn.
use some other
I think
programming
it's more about
stuff
managing
or
than
something?
it is
Most of
about knowing
Microsoft.
a specific
Specific
software.
thing. That's
Nothing
right.
really in
Yeah.
particular.
What experience do you have managing budgets?
Okay,
That
here's some
sounded
stuff
way better
I've
than
been
what I
writing
said.
while y'all were talking. tell me about a stressful situation in your current role and how did you handle it? That was one, and then I was writing this one, this is a relationship position, and don't judge me on my wording, because I put 20 seconds into this. This is a relationship position, tell me about a time you were in a room full of people you didn't know. And what did you do? Like, did you sit in the corner and go, oh my God, I don't know anybody, did you leave? Did you start, put your drink down and start talking? I don't know if y'all like those.
I
That's
like
just
that
stuff
a
I'm
lot.
That's like
Yeah.
cold calling, they have to be
'Cause you-
comfortable cold calling and trying to go after the business, so to
When
speak.
you go to a sales show, it's like speed dating. You sit down at a table with a tour operator for 7 minutes.
Speed dating.
You can give them one piece of paper and your business card. The rest of it you have to talk, or more. I learned when I went to my first sales show, you have to listen. I talked too much on my first one. I learned to be quiet and ask them what they wanted and hear them talk. But there's a lot of that.
Are you better at talking or listening?
How do you deal with conflict?
Say again.
How do you deal with conflict resolution? You got 6 staff? You got staff?
We have 5 at the Comer House and 1 at the Doakes Clark House, yes. And,
Maybe
And they're all women.
That's very generic and broad.
well,
If you
we have a
could-
young man over at the Clark House.
He's not in the house.
I'm not
with
the
you
only
every
male.
day. You got 2 women in the same room and they get along. That's pretty good management right there.
Well, actually, we don't anymore. We
Try
just
running
have
a
Sue in the
salon.
room by herself.
I said, try running a
Oh,
salon.
But no, Zoe and
women.
Maddie are upstairs
Oh, okay.
with their own offices, and then Sue has her own office. That's one thing about the Comer House, it's very large, so we all have our own office. It worked out very well during COVID. We all just went in our office
I
and
guess that's true.
stayed away from everybody else.
Okay, I personally am putting 4 questions, plus anyone else that has one that they want to put up for discussion so that we can narrow down to that 3. And that is there anything that would prevent you from attending events out of town, late night, holidays, weekends, however y'all want to record that? Tell me a stressful situation in your current role and how did you handle it? Why are you the right person for this job? That could easily wait until the final interview. And then this is a relationship position. Tell me about a time you were in a room full of people you didn't know and how did you handle it? Those are my suggestions.
Yeah.
I like number 3 anyway, because you said they'll feel comfortable and talk. I would just do the 4. I don't know why you have to be stuck with 3.
Yeah,
Like,
you're right.
yeah.
And they will. They'll start talking. If you've carried the conversation well to that point, and then you throw that in, they'll start telling everything that you're like, oh my goodness, that was great. Or you may get off the phone and go, that was the coolest thing I've ever done. I totally enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah.
So you'll learn a lot by doing that. Unfortunately,
They
I
talked to me on the phone for like an hour and a half.
tell you everything.
Yeah. So. And no, it wasn't just me talking. So. I know where that was coming from.
The few things I have left are create a committee to do this, and then are we going to have that presented by the next board meeting, and then what is the date to take down the job posting? That's kind of what I had left in my,
So if the next board meeting is in 2 weeks, well, that's gonna be an ugly day for me.
Madam Treasurer, pardon me for interrupting. Just to let you know, next week is spring break. I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be in Gatlinburg next week. And our next meeting on the 21st is our regular meeting, so we're going to have to present all the financial information and other information. Madam Chairman also, pardon me. So it'll be our regular meeting on the 21st, so we'll have to present all this other stuff too.
So
But
you may be suggesting, if I'm hearing, that we don't do
all this at one meeting.
on that same day.
I'm not suggesting anything, I just want to make you aware of that.
But then that's also a suggestion, and try to find another date for a meeting that everyone could be here. I'd love for everyone to be here.
And
So
I
you
don't
want to
necessarily
push it
have,
back?
I don't mind the
Or you
length
want
of
to push
time
it
on the
back?
We're
meeting.
here.
I don't mind the length of time, if that's the issue. You know,
I
I'm
would-
used to.
Oh, length of
I'm used to
time,
doing
that's
it.
not for me.
Have the length of time than to have to take another afternoon.
Yeah,
That's
that
what I'm
day's
thinking.
fine. Oh, you can't be there that day?
No, I'm
Oh.
saying that's fine with me too. I mean, if we're
Yeah.
here, however
Here.
long we're here, that's fine.
I'd rather do
with me.
that than an additional day.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, is to try to
Precisely.
find another date for everyone to make it work.
I mean, which we're gonna have to do anyway,
That's a
but
good point.
then that's maybe two more or three more or whatever, but we're here, is kind of my,
Yeah,
for
I
me,
like
anyway.
that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense,
I
you
just
know, as
gotta
well.
get my kids in the bed, so let's not stay till 9.
No, please. So my controlling heart wants to join this committee, but I am really overextended right now. I'm not a good person. Will I help you guys create a spreadsheet and try to drop some numbers or some information? Absolutely. Do I really want to do it? Absolutely. But I am really overcommitted right now. All these windstorms and trees that came down, I had 30 houses affected, some with no roofs, some with a tree down the middle.
Wow.
Are all of them insured?
They're all insured.
Okay, never mind. I'm trying to get FEMA numbers, and they have to be uninsured for FEMA.
No, all of mine were insured, and all of them had people in them. Nobody hurt, but I'm definitely juggling a lot, plus my everyday, plus my volunteer.
I will do it.
I was gonna say, you have experience, I mean, I'm not being,
I'm not
Funny,
afraid to
but I
call,
mean,
I'm not
you've
afraid to
been
talk
on
to
a-
these people. I won't ask anybody how old they are. Maybe.
Are you still good to help us out with this, Angela?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know you're looking at me, you're looking past me.
Oh, I heard you a minute ago, so hopefully, okay, so, and Mayor Isabel, are you interested in serving on this committee?
Sure, yeah. So
Shan-
you're gonna have 4 or 3?
Shannon, Angela, myself, and you. And Jean will help us with making the matrix.
Yeah.
And then email it out, and then we can start putting them in the matrix, and then we'll figure out who to call, and Shannon can help make the call.
Yeah, I don't mind making the calls. I don't wanna pick the most qualified I want to pick the most qualified
No, I
candidate.
know what
But
you're
I don't
saying.
wanna be the one who
Right.
sources through all of,
I think
and
we've
I don't
got-
mind doing any of that, but this is,
I think we got
Very
enough.
different, yes.
I think we got enough hands on deck,
yeah.
and I think
But
that
no,
your
I don't
talents and
mind
skills
taking
will
a
be
phone
used.
call.
Yeah.
I
in
don't
that
mind
way.
taking a phone call. I can scare some of them off. if
Does everybody sound
that's
good with that?
necessary.
yep, that's,
And we will try to make the agenda as concise as possible for the 21st, so you can spend more time on this, because I know this is your number one deal
Who's
right now.
priority?
Who's posting
Yeah, we'll
that
get
on the
through it.
Indeed and whatever?
Can I
I've
take
got
a
it
picture
on
of your,
form.
can I take a picture of your paper?
Is there anything you want changed on it?
so it's the 24th.
I know, it's on Tuesday.
I think we just need to make
Put
sure
that
to
on my phone, so-
take it down at a certain date
You probably already have it
Tell me
in there.
what day.
I think I do too, but
and make sure that we have enough
Right.
time between
I
that
just wanna
date and
get
the
your
board meeting
questions.
date.
That's what I was thinking.
21st.
So you're really pretty close right now.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
That's literally less than 2 weeks
Oh,
away.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna do it too.
Oh, yeah, cause I was thinking, I'll forget what we talked about.
I tried to make notes, but yours are very neat.
Same time, 4
I know
o'clock.
her handwriting is excellent.
Thank you. Yeah, mine.
I've
Do
got
y'all
to
need
get my phone
typewritten
for
reports?
4 o'clock, the 21st.
These just-
What's that?
No, I was making sure that's 4 o'clock. the
Oh,
21st.
yeah.
I didn't put that on there, but yeah, the next board meeting is Tuesday, March 21st, 4 PM in this room.
Is it
My
possible
got it.
son
to
is
do
in
an
town
hour
and I have
earlier?
to get him to the airport at 5:40. I cannot stay late the 21st.
We
I
can do it
think-
earlier,
Can we
but that's
move
up to
the
y'all.
meeting
What do you want to do, 3 o'clock now, or
3?
It would-
3:30, 3 o'clock?
Oh, gosh.
I don't know if there are
that
any
is
other meetings in this room
My
on that
hair
day.
appointment day.
I don't think there is.
She's been in Aruba.
Usually our
I'm not
meeting
joking.
coincides with
I'm
the
not
school board
joking either.
meetings, which are held somewhere
As
else.
an owner of a salon,
Yeah.
that's very important.
On the same day, not the same time.
What time is it?
We greatly value those appointments.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's okay.
it's a priority.
That's
I'll-
right.
We're gonna
Yeah,
schedule
I've
it
got a
anyway.
6 o'clock meeting in
When's the next
Nashville.
day?
So would it be helpful if we moved this to 3 p.m.?
Would that be okay with everybody?
It would be with
I can make it work.
I can do that.
I may not be able to make it work, but that's okay. You can go ahead without it.
No, we need you for the.
You're on
It
the
don't
committee.
Well, what
be
if you
better
do the
just to
budget,
move-
if you do the budget part first, and then we'll do this part?
At
If
the
you
end?
arrange the agenda,
Yes.
so this part's at the end?
Yes,
We'll keep the time at 3.
yes,
And
Keep
is it
it
okay?
full.
Are we allowed to come at late?
yes, you can come
Come in
late,
late.
but we have to have quorum to pass anything. But could we move it
And I'll
to
check,
3?
I'll check the calendar.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
I mean, as far as this,
Yeah, I don't think there's anything.
okay. Let's move it to 3.
3 o'clock, I might change
And
that, so-
do
Yeah.
the first part of the meeting, the regular meeting, and then move into this piece.
Yeah.
Everybody good with that?
Good.
Yeah.
Who else? Baker
I
and
may
Jamie.
be
They should
looking
able to
real
do that.
ratchet, but I'll be here.
Baker's retired.
You
Yeah.
might want
I think he's
He's
out
just
of
running
town,
around
'cause he wasn't gonna be at the
trying.
Irish Festival Saturday, so I think he's
That's
probably
right, he may be out
out of town, I'm not sure.
it might be raining.
I mean, he'll be included in the emails. so
To
he'll
change
let
it
us
to
know.
one more thing that I just thought of about changing on the, job description. We all did decide that it needs to be experience, working experience or degree, and I don't believe that's anywhere on the specifications of the, so maybe let's have the
Oh.
HR look at that on the
Okay,
postings.
so we want a tourism-related degree.
With experience.
Plus experience.
Or yeah, plus experience. Or no degree, I don't know how you said that, but you need 10 years of tourism-related experience if you
Or
do not
tourism, yeah.
have a related degree.
So tourism-related.
Does that sound
degree
what we
with-
kind of said?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how much experience with a degree?
I don't think we discussed that. I don't have that down.
We said, we didn't set
didn't.
years with the degree, we just said a degree in blah, blah, or at least 10 years experience.
But don't you want,
So 2
A
years.
Do you want-
degree in
3 years.
some experience.
Oh, yeah, we
Right.
don't want us,
Yeah.
do you
don't
want somebody
a
who
new
graduates
grad.
in May? Okay,
No,
so you gotta put that with some
Do
Do
experience.
you want a new grad?
No, but she's in here.
Mm-mm.
I saw that.
So you need to know.
Yeah,
My
but
son's
she's
getting ready to
been there.
graduate in May, I wouldn't want that.
No, no, there's,
I'm talking about
Want
the,
him in
there's
charge.
another one.
Jody.
There's no one that graduates in May.
Oh, I hadn't
Yeah.
gotten that.
He's done
far.
very well.
So you wanna make sure that you
Get the
say
feet wet first.
degree and 4 years experience,
Well,
5 years
I don't-
I
experience.
think
Would
five,
it-
I mean,
yeah.
I know 5 years, I think is a good number.
We're
What do
talking
y'all
about a
think?
tourism director of the
Right.
eighth
Right,
largest
this-
county in Tennessee.
You want at least
We're not
5
running a
with
lemonade
degree,
stand
5
here.
years
Right.
I don't,
I
yeah.
agree.
I mean, it is an important position.
So degree,
Far
5
more important
years.
than important
Yeah.
report of Palace Theater.
Oh, shots
Oh,
fired.
You mean the
Ouch.
temple?
Hold on there.
Temple.
I
Yeah,
was
would
gonna
you?
say, I'm getting
You
ready to
guys
leave
are
this
all-
meeting to go to the next board meeting with the Palace Theater. So.
Yeah, I love Barry, I love what he's
I
done,
know,
I know what he's gonna do.
So you can get that added on the,
I can add it on tomorrow,
Okay.
yeah.
And I've got that season ticket package ready for you to purchase
There you
at the temple.
go, I will, I'll buy it, for sure. So tourism-related degree and 5 years experience,
Yep.
or 10 years working experience. Okay. Make sure everybody's.
Will I be on the polling part of this committee?
Mhm.
Okay, sorry.
you're a part of it all.
Okay. What else?
Date. To take it down.
We're meeting the 21st, what do you think, like the 15th or?
What is today,
Gosh, that's
Lord?
next week.
Yeah.
Today's the 8th.
Yeah, I mean, it gives it another
What do you
week
think,
or.
Jean?
Make it that Friday
Friday.
before.
I think so, because by the time you get
The 17th.
through them, of course, you'll be,
St. Patrick's
Day.
Day.
you'll be seeing them as they come in, but once you get to that final
Right.
thing and have the opportunity to make that phone call, because you're not gonna be successful on the
Exactly.
first one, with first call with everybody.
Like the
Some will be.
17th.
17th, yeah.
How's that look
That's
for you,
a
Mayor?
Friday,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Do you mind to let them know that?
absolutely.
Is that's not a county holiday, is it?
No,
but it should be.
Only for April.
Yeah, tell that to the budget department.
I'm all for it.
I believe that is all that I have. The next bullet point here says tourism board, Barry Young, next meeting, and then adjourn, so.
Yeah, I was just gonna remind you, the next meeting's the 21st.
But we've now moved it to 3 PM. And
3 PM.
will you send that out in an email, or will the mayor say the change is at 3 PM? We just wanna make sure that Baker and Tammy know that.
Your
I
office
use, we typically send out the reminder.
Okay.
Kelly gets with Leanne,
Do the agenda, we need to get that posted.
post
on
it
the website.
on the
Yeah,
board.
just make sure that 3 PM change is known by everybody, not just people in the room, is what I'm saying.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else?
I'll make a
Okay.
motion to adjourn.
Oh,
That's one
oh.
question.
Is there some way that I can get on your meeting minutes so I can speak about what's happening at my office? Of that in regard to the public library?
This is not the library.
This is the tourism,
Oh,
the library
somebody
meeting
called me
got
up and said
canceled.
The library was meeting.
That was
Oh.
rescheduled.
Oh, okay.
I guess it had been in this
So
office.
when we get done, maybe you can explain to me how I maybe could address that.
I can take care of you on that.
All right, thank you, John.
See ya.
Appreciate you all.
Oh, thank you so
Thanks for
much.
joining in, it was fun.
Hey, May, you wanna wait for me? or
Yeah, I'll
you
wait
call?
for you.
Okay.
And also, here's some of my pens
Oh.
and,
Oh, bless
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Temple Theater could use one of those.
here
Yeah.
I am. I wish I'd brought a couple more.
Thank you.
May,
I just really need
I
that
need
green
one.
Oh,
one.
the green
I need
one.
that
Do you
green
really?
one.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather have the blue one, but that's okay.
Pick which one you want.
But if you want more, I'll go ahead and have it.
I know.
Madam
You tell me.
Chairman, are we still in the meeting?
We are still in the meeting, we
Oh, so sorry.
just
I'm
need,
distracted.
May I bring up one thing?
Yes, sir.
Just that y'all need to know.
Yes, sir.
Our sales and hospitality manager, Maddie Alder, has submitted her resignation. She got another job, and her last day is Saturday at the Irish Festival. I just wanted to make y'all aware of that in case you might, I mean, my philosophy would be let the new director hire that person. But if you have a resume in there or something, of somebody maybe who's not qualified for the director,
Might be able to refer them to
yeah.
the new
I just
director.
wanted to mention that to you. I didn't want to wait till the 21st to tell you. So you'd be aware of that.
Do you have prices?
What?
Do you have prices?
Prices? Oh, they're in there, yeah. The prices are in there. I usually, that's the health
I'll take a
insurance.
motion to adjourn. Are we good to go? Are you, is this part of the meeting?
No.
Should be.
No.
It's not on the
Second.
agenda.
Okay, let's take a
Second.
motion, okay.
Second.
All right,
I'm sorry, I've
let's
got
go.
to
Hey,
run.
Harrison has T-ball at 5, I'm trying to get
Yeah.
there.
Hey,
I've got
priorities,
Thank you.
priorities.